Hi. Did some work today. I was off yesterday. Spent most of the day down in bed, feeling crap to say the least. But anyhow, wasted day off was a shame. Rocker in. Immediate push rod drawn 3 places. Full droop, full bump. Sorry, no, that's right. Yeah, full bump, full droop, and normal ride height. Length of the actual push rod, obviously will be 2 rod ends and a turnbuckle is 325, so she's pretty much set up there. Made the plate for here, bent 90 degrees, got another plate that will weld on underneath, but I'll leave that plate off until all of this has been TIG welded, so they can TIG weld basically where the bottom ball joint is. They can TIG weld all the way around the back side and everything else, and then put the plate on last and weld on the inside there if they want, then put the plate on. So just for an access things tucked in. After I redesigned the KPI and stuff on the upright, I didn't change the design of the actual machining of the upright, just to give it some flexibility if I wanted to move it. As you can probably see now, that's the bottom ball joint. I have a considerably large amount of aluminium here, which really isn't needed. It's just extra weight. So I've mounted the support for the push rod a little bit further outboard than I probably would have done if I'd have kept this, which unfortunately means this is hitting here against there. But it doesn't matter because I'm going to shave 10mm off of here, and probably the same on the top. As you can see, ball joint was a little bit further off. I've pushed the wishbones as far outboard as I could. Previously there was a reasonable amount of stagger between the original sort of 5 KPI to where the rotor was, but knowing that the rotor offset isn't very much on the Z06, basically the offset between where the wheel bolt flanges up to here isn't very much. There isn't much of a bell at all. That does allow, means the rotor is further out than it would be if it was on the standard LM3000 uprights. So if the rotor's further out, that means I can move the lower kingpin or lower ball joint further out as well. Now I've got 20mm gap here. There's plenty of room. I could probably push it even further if I wanted to, but it's got to be a point towards stop. So when I redid the correct ET offset for the wheel, basically worked back from roughly where the bodywork width was, where the wheel ET, where this had to be, and then worked back from there. So this is further out, and that, even with the increased KPI, is still further out. So I can machine 10mm off the back of here, and also machine 10mm off the back of there. And while I'm machining off that, I'll radius these corners here a little bit, and then that will allow the wheel, instead of hitting like it is now, it'll allow that to rotate. So we'll work on those, albeit just a couple of hours, and we'll have those done. That's pretty much in. Reinstated the small amount of tube that was in the way here. Found it easier to put that 1-inch box basically by dicing that tube in half, and I just reinstated the half tube that was there and there. Now it's back in. So yeah, no huge amount. Tomorrow, come on, focus. Tomorrow I'll do the same with the bottom wishbone on this side. With that push rod, I'll cut another couple of bits of 3/4 box to make the lengths I want, so I can have the front end pretty much together. And now I just have to I keep humming over this bloody decision as to whether to use an original style tie rod, with a booted ball joint. I'm still going to have a boot around here, even if it is a rod end. I'll fill it full of grease. I'm towing it around. 1 minute I'm going to use, I'm just going to use an outer ball joint and tie rod for whatever, some standard Volvo, Cobalt, whatever, anything. Then I keep harking back to, well, it's not what I want. I don't know. I'm still to and fro as to which way I'm going to go on that. ultimately it would be nice just to thread a rod end into the 1/2 inch UNF that's inside the rack, so I've got a little bit of adjustability of the rack length. But to be honest, once the rack length is salted and that's set, it's not really going to alter too much. The inboard suspension points here aren't going to alter, so really that shouldn't lengthen too much. Not unless I start mucking around with the Ackerman, which, to be honest, I think that's probably the last thing I'm going to muck around with. As much as there's something you can tune there, I don't really think I'm going to get quite to that stage. That would be quite a while way down the road. So for this car, really once I've set that pivot to pivot dimension on the rack, I'm sorted. I've got that dimension. That's in my it's in my computer at the moment. From what this roughly is at the moment, it's about 17 millimeters from this face out. So I'm probably going to machine some of this back, even if it is a rod end. I've got to machine some of this back to make up room for it. So yeah, she's there and there. Tried a new thing out today. I've got some 84 sheets of steel. I've got some 75 thou, or near enough 2 mil thick plate that'll be the underneath of the seat pan, and then I've got some 1.2, these 2 smaller sheets. To try something I've never tried before. It didn't seem that difficult to do, and I started doing some spinning, which is an interesting process to say the least. Different type of wood former. Basically here it's got a 4-inch round diameter with a curve in the centre. I've just been using a piece of hardwood basically to push it into it, and it's pushing it in quite well, even though it's say 1.2 mil thick. It's forming it reasonably easily, but it can't quite get dug into the corner that I want. Hard to see down there, it's kind of quite deep, so I'll have to make a roller bearing tool to do that. But basically this shape here that I want a reasonable amount, I'll be probably cutting it out in triangles. And refer back to one of the older wishbones, you can see what I'm doing. There you go. Basically it's for making this. I want something about a 4-inch radius there with a nice kind of curve here. This is really quite a tight curve. It's not really an issue or a problem, it's just the way it's a tight curve. What I'd like to do is make this a nice constant curve from halfway all the way up there. And then basically you cut out 2 pieces of that thing, well worn from either side, and it makes a nice sort of tidy, gives you a nice gusset. It doesn't add a huge amount of weight to it, but it does add a reasonable amount of strength. So I'm going to try spinning them. Different process, never tried it before. So far it's cost me nothing. I shall probably have to buy a lump of 3-inch steel and make some roller bearing ends to go with that lot. That's in the Mark 1 suspension. There we go. Another 8 minutes gone. Right, that's today's progress. I'm actually on target. Tomorrow morning will be the pull the trigger moment on finally on the coilovers. So I should be phoning the UK and ordering them tomorrow. That will be a milestone stage for the chassis. Oh yeah, one quick minor thing. I was looking into the mounting point for, let's grab it, looking at the mounting point for the rear roll bar. Previously I was going to mount it behind the gearbox. Oh dog, eat him boy. There we go. I was going to mount it behind the gearbox and come forward. Now that basically meant the 2 link bars that would obviously have to link to the suspension points would be quite long. In itself not a problem. But it would have to go over the top of the shock absorbers. So mounting this, hey, there you go. Mounting this like this at the back there, you can imagine the rods are coming from here and going over the top of the shock absorbers. Now, that adds a bit of height to the back here, which I tried to avoid before, so I'd love to bring this part of the bodywork down if I could. I haven't really paid a huge amount of attention to it, but I was looking at another couple of Indy or single-seater car suspension designs. And so all of them try to put it at the opposite end, which makes sense because now you can drop it in here. Exaggerated. Drop it inside the front, and now you can link the 2 points here to actually to the underneath of the rockers here. I wonder whether there's actually enough swing room. Well, I did a quick mock-up and found out there is actually enough swing room for this to rock forward and back the required sort of just under 4 inches. Like everything else, something's in the way. These 2 bars here, which are from the base of the rocker to the top mounting point for the bell housing on the Chev, are actually in the way, which is a pain. So basically these 2 bars will have to come off, and I'll probably put these 2 bars, just to reinstate them, I'll put those bars up against either here, come to here, or I might even bring them down to there somewhere. But then if I put, it's hard to see with this, I need a 3D camera. Basically I'll be mounting this kind of about 1 inch or 2 above the gearbox, and high enough so that pretty much the links between these 2 points here and there are probably maximum about 2 inches long. Really quite short, but that does give me enough room to put everything in. And then I need to machine an aluminium mount that'll mount off of the one mounting point here, which isn't on the LS, but I can drill and tap the plate, even doesn't have to go through the engine. 2 and 3, the one down the other side, I'll make an aluminium plate that'll come off, that'll mount that onto it, it'll bolt straight up, and that basically hides the anti-roll bar in front of there, lowers it down from out of the way here, doesn't get in the way of the gearbox member, also doesn't get in the way with the exhaust box that I'd like to put across here, so the exhaust comes from either side and tail out. Mounts that a little further forward, a little bit further down. Really there's kind of advantages all over the place. Minor, I know, but they're all pros, there's not many cons. Well, the only con is the fact that this, pull this out. The only con at the moment is this is the attached cable arm here. This cable arm here, rocks forward and back, was mounted via a nice little bracket that sits on here. I'll have to remanufacture that bracket and move the cable to a slightly different position. Obviously this is on a pivot point, so it doesn't really matter exactly where the damn thing is, as long as I 50-50 the angle from mid-travel on here, from full to that. It doesn't really matter too much, as long as I'm not too far away from 90. You know, you don't want to be, you don't want to be really acute here, like a 20-degree angle all around there, because then you can lose force to cable. As long as I'm sort of within a 20 or 30-degree window of that angle, then the movement's going to be correct. So I've got to remanufacture the bracket and the cable mount, and then basically the cable will actually sit underneath and go between the V and go forward, which is kind of handy then, because I can pretty much just bring it forward, down, through the petrol tank and bring it straight to center console with the straightest, easiest cable to do so far. So yeah, that's another little thing that's back to that old design of worse. Well, we do it, the first one in, put that in, that's all great, redesign it, still put that in back again, but I still got to chop it out a third time. Annoying, but that is a lot better position for it. I didn't realise it could go there. I discounted it for many a reason. Now I know it can go there. I'm a lot happier about that. So basically cutting out 2 tubes, moving them again, not really a problem to us. I think they're even tacked in. Yeah, those 2 are just tacked in. They're not that permanent. And another billet aluminium bracket to make. We don't mind doing that stuff because we love machining billets. So. Okay, that's what I've been doing. There we go. Sorry for boring you again. See you later. Bye.